The Scream Kings are in no way responsible for any encounters with the paranormal, extraterrestrial abductions, eldritch insanity, hauntings, hexes, curses, demonic possessions, cryptozoological sightings, or any loss of sleep from listening to this podcast.
This is the Scream Kings podcast. I'm Max George.
I'm Nathaniel Durkish.
I'm NJ Gallegos.
Crimson or clover, accept the gift and destroy. Destroy yourself and yourselves, or keep it and bow down. Bow all the way down and get right down to the dirty work. Work that gets dirty as it cleans. Like a mop. Like a fucking podcast. I added the fucking, but I think I did pretty good.
Yeah.
You did. Did you have just makeup caked all over your face to just really, really get into it?
Obviously.
Duh. I know how your methods work.
I spent an hour with Halloween Town white makeup all over my face. And then just looking at Mark being like, hey, like a mop. Oh my goodness.
Hot.
We are talking about such a good movie. I'm so excited because we haven't talked about demons in forever.
It has been a hot minute.
I have so many Satan questions for you that we will get to.
I have a big old demon boner right now, so everyone get ready. We're talking Longlegs.
Not the
Which
spider.
is incidentally what you wanted your stage name to be if you ever got into drag?
Drag or stripping. I wanted to call myself Daddy Longlegs because I have some very beautiful long legs. And if you go up the long legs, you're going to find something else long.
Your disappointment.
Your shame, everybody. I was talking about my personality.
Duh.
Sickos.
Daddy
guys,
Longlegs, that's good. Oh,
thank you. Fun fact, Daddy Longlegs are not spiders. They're actually crustaceans. And the myth that their bite is more poisonous than any other bite in the world is utter bullshit.
crustaceans?
I believe so. Yeah.
I don't like that.
I mean, crustaceans are spiders of the sea. So they're just spiders, but with a fancier name. It's like
chicken of the sea, except spiders of the sea.
well, it's like European, but French European. But yeah, they are not actually arachnids, which is kind of crazy.
All right, I'm going to file that one away.
And they only have 6 legs.
Yeah, little bastards. But they're super creepy. I don't like how they walk. No creature that God has created should walk with such long legs. It's gross. What were you thinking? Also, why did Noah decide, like, oh yeah, gotta save this one?
Well, duh.
I don't know, Noah. You've got questionable taste. These and the mosquitoes? What the fuck?
Yeah.
Guys, I'm back. You missed me from the alien episode. Here I am!
How's the diarrhea?
As my nephew once described it, bum water. Which has lived on, and we don't say diarrhea anymore. It's just bum water.
Bun or bum?
Bum, like butt
Bum.
water. Ass
Bum.
water.
Ass water. Got it.
You know, it keeps flowing, but, you know, I'm taking those antidiarrheals and those fiber pills, and we just keep going through life.
Yeah, just gotta bulk stuff up. So let's talk about our bulky movie now. Look at that seamless transition.
God, you nailed it.
Oh, you did. What a seamless transition.
Okay, so Longlegs, written and directed by Osgood Perkins.
Guys, I really like this movie. I'm probably going to be fangirling the entire time.
Yeah, I really dug it too. Should we briefly go over the plot?
Yeah, NJ, do you want to go over it? You
love when I do this.
I do. They're my favorite.
Indeed, I shall. I've practiced. Actually, I didn't practice at all, which is why it'll be a disaster, but that's fine.
You're good. You're good.
Yeah.
I feel like you give the least amount of spoilers because you're just kind of bullshitting it through the entire thing, which helps us in the long run. So that is a compliment, not a diss.
I do what I can. I like to keep things not done until the very last minute. It's like kind of my thing.
You're phenomenal, and I love you.
Thank you. I want to point out I had no freaking idea really what I was coming into with Longlegs other than it was about a serial killer and there was Nicolas Cage. So I was very pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, me too, actually. I avoided this movie for a long time because Nicolas Cage is an abomination. So I get it.
I'm going to disagree with you on that and we'll talk about that. But
Okay,
anyway.
Whatever. Keep going. It's fine.
Whatever. We're going to... National Treasure? Come on. Whatever.
Okay.
Anyway.
Okay.
You know what would have made National Treasure better? Any
Without-
other actor.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Nathaniel and I hate Cage, so get ready for some good arguments and some bigotry.
Though I will say I was very pleasantly surprised by him in this movie. But yeah, let's get into plot summary before we...
Likewise, but I won't admit it. Keep going.
Excellent. We start Longlegs with a lovely FBI agent, Lee Harker, who displays some psychic abilities, and she's assigned to a pretty
we've already missed
case.
an important thing.
Who's doing the plot summary here?
Well, you skipped the whole opening scene.
The camera?
Yeah.
Wow, NJ, it's like you've never done a plot recap before. Good God.
I like to keep things just right there in the little corner there, just right out of reach.
Keep going. Don't let Nathaniel bring you down.
Yeah, you douche. She's assigned to some spooky cases in which fathers snap and murder their entire family, but there doesn't seem to be any other reason other than maybe some spooky Satan shit, but we don't really know that yet, do we? No. And she turns out to have some personal connection to Longlegs. And I'm just going to say, this is why girls should never play with dolls.
This is why girls should never date boys. Let's be honest.
Also that.
Ugh. This movie gets dark real quick.
So, I was, very unprepared for what was happening. And I'll admit, for the first 3/4 of the movie, I mean, I was in, but I was like, what in the fuck is happening here? And then we paused it with 30 minutes left. Came back to it, and it wrapped it up all very nicely to the point where I was like, okay, that was just absolutely fantastic. And I think that it's going to lend itself very well to rewatches, because I've only watched it the one time.
Yeah, I can testify, Jesus Christ. Woo! I can testify!
Praise be.
Lordy.
So I've watched this movie, I think, 7 times now.
Dang.
The first watch, I was very similar, NJ. I was just like, what the hell is happening? And then I rewatched it, kind of understanding what was kind of going on behind the scenes. And it, I think, is one of these weird movies that is much more scary the second time you watch it. Just because you know at that point what's going on, and whether that hurts or helps the film, I think is up to interpretation.
Yeah. All right. I'm just still upset that you guys hate Nicolas Cage so much. Why do you hate Nicolas Cage so much?
Oh my God.
Because he's really, really, really bad at acting almost all the time.
I've never seen him in a film other than Longlegs where he's not portraying Nicolas Cage.
I mean, have you seen his Wicker Man?
Oh, God.
I have not.
Have you seen that stupid American Treasure? What is it? National Treasure? National Find the map behind Mount Rushmore?
Yeah, and it's lovely. And he's good in The Knowing, Face Off, Con Air.
Pass.
Whatever. I'm tired of you.
He always sounds like this. Hey, everybody, I have something to say, and I'm Nicolas Cage.
That's a surprisingly good Cage.
Thank you. I practiced.
Yeah, I think it's perfectly summed up from like an episode of Community where Abed takes a class just about is Nicolas Cage good, and he just like absolutely loses his mind and starts crawling on a table saying, "I'm a cat. I'm a sexy cat.
I'm a cat. I'm a sexy cat."
And I was like, that's all I can ever think of now whenever I think of Nicolas Cage.
NJ, I'm a sexy cat. Do you love me?
I do, actually.
I just found a map behind Mount Rushmore.
Behind Mount Rushmore.
I hate him so much. And again, I think that was a little bit devastating for this movie because I actively did not watch it because of Nicolas Cage. I chose not to see it in theaters, and I chose not to watch it on streaming for such a long time because I did not want to deal with Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, I had to like bully you into watching it.
Yeah, you did. You did.
But did he not just act the shit out of this movie?
Oh yeah, like if he could do this in other movies, I would be impressed with him.
Yeah, 100%, but I think he was playing something so far away from what Nicolas Cage has done in the past. And the white makeup and the prosthetics and just the scenery. He's terrifying. Yeah. Terrifying.
And the way he pitched his voice, too, like he takes it like so high and then just that growling. Oh. I like it. Daddy Longlegs.
Come up this leg.
I want to see your shame.
It's longer than the leg. Pulling away from my sexuality and the length of my legs and Nicolas Cage. This is a fucking good demon movie, guys. I was blown away at how they interpreted demonic, let's say, possession. I don't know if it goes into the realm of possession.
It flirts with it.
But the presence of the demonic in this entire film was done so well. Just these subtle glimpses of Satan in the background, kind of approaching our protagonist, just filled me up with so much happiness that they were doing it right.
Yeah, I really liked this idea of like this killer I didn't understand, and then once you start to understand him more and what he's doing, it's honestly more puzzling than when I didn't understand him in a lot of ways, but like in a good way. Like I don't know if I described that well. It's just like I don't understand what makes him tick.
I think that's a really good insight, Nathaniel, because I've listened to a lot of true crime stuff recently. I've been very invested in a lot of kind of the big serial killers that our nation has faced. I mean, don't ever live in California during the 60s and 70s because you would die. Mm-hmm. But right now I'm listening to a book about Son of Sam and how perhaps he wasn't working alone, and there's kind of this huge conspiracy about the sons of Sam, and what if there was this cabal of murderers out there, and conspiracy theories are conspiracy theories. But what I'm getting to is understanding a serial killer's motives without the media kind of taking that and really putting it forward is unknowable. We cannot understand the Jeffrey Dahmers, the Ted Bundys, the Ed Geins of the world. All we really know is what the media and the cops have given us to digest. And so I think Longlegs did a really good job at just keeping it unknown, and we don't really fucking know what's going on.
Yeah, we don't even really understand exactly why he's called what he's called.
Yeah, and I think that is very scary in a sense. That I know who Jeffrey Dahmer is because he was so publicized, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And you take that away from Jeffrey Dahmer, and who is he? He's a cannibal, he's a sexist, a sadist. And why does he do the things he does? The only reason we have insight into that is because of his interviews, which is twisted and gross. And I don't know. I really thought that was a profound insight into a serial killer. Again, I fangirl over Longlegs. I love this movie. So
yeah,
there's my sentiment.
Yeah, well, and just to kind of build off of that, I feel like even though I love a lot of really interesting, serial killer movies, way too many of them really just kind of give us a neat explanation for way too many of them, right?
Yeah, what is the Zac Efron movie, the dangerously evil, cruel, whatever, the Ted Bundy film?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It almost humanized him, which is fine. Sure, he was a human, but really the depravity of Ted Bundy is so much darker than I think we give it credit for. And we don't understand it, and I think that is part of the point, is if you do not understand a psychopath's intention, that's not a bad thing.
Yeah. Way too often we can just, summarize, some sort of, boiled down fictional one as like a single sentence. Like, oh, well, they're doing all this because of this thing. And you're like, well, that's kind of not real.
NJ, what do you think? We've kind of gone off the edge there.
Off the edge there. I want to talk a little bit about Agent Lee Harker.
Okay.
I really, really enjoyed her character. And
So did I felt she was very grounded and
yes. And I thought it was a little complex too, because it hints at her psychic abilities and just kind of the way she interacts with people. Like she's socially awkward, she's stilted, and it's very neurodivergent. It's endearing.
Real quick, do we think it was like a supernatural psychosis, or was it her neurodivergence and like understanding something bigger than what she was interpreting?
I think it's a mix, to be honest.
I mean, like it does like say that she literally like showed signs of being psychic, that they like tested her for it at the FBI, which is a totally normal thing to do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we could argue that, but I agree with you, NJ. I think the neurodivergence here was more prominent than any supernatural thing.
Mm-hmm. She was able to make connections that other people weren't able to make just because of how she saw the world and the people interacting with
and her personal connection.
Yep.
That she didn't realize.
And we could look at the story, too, from a supernatural standpoint, and all these images of the devil and Satan in the background, and Longlegs and what he was doing from, like, a paranormal, occult kind of viewpoint. But then we could twist that as well and interpret the Satanism and the devil as kind of these primal human, depravity moments. So I'm really glad you brought that up, NJ, because I thought the same thing about her neurodivergence. She's such a compelling character.
Yeah, I honestly want to know more about her.
Agreed.
Yeah. And this sounds horrible. This is like such a mean joke, but since, I grew up without a father, I can say it.
Careful.
But maybe she ended up not getting murdered. Obviously, Ruth makes the literal deal with the devil to save her. But, maybe Daddy's not around to murder her, so they had to do something different.
Well, and you could look into that and from like a demonic point of view. What is a deal with the devil? Sacrificing something pure and innocent for something good. And so, yeah, she's giving up her memory or her relationship with her dad for a career or for a relationship with her mom or something to progress her forward. I'm overanalyzing, but it's because I love demons. I got you, Longlegs. The demon, not the serial killer.
And definitely not the crustacean spiders.
Ugh. What else do we like about the film?
I mean, since we brought up Lee, yeah, like Micah Monroe did a really amazing job. We've already talked about Nick Cage doing a great job. Like, I mean, I'd say the acting across the board is really good. But yeah, like those two especially just kind of delivered the goods in a way of just being really compelling to watch, even when nothing was especially going on. Longlegs going and buying something from the hardware store was compelling. Lee just sitting in her house was compelling.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I also really liked Lee's mom, Ruth. She gave me very Margaret White kind of vibes.
Yeah.
She looked great in the nun get up too. She looked awesome.
Very creepy.
Yeah, I don't allow people into my house, so I would be like, no.
None of that.
If it were gonna work on me as a child, it'd have to be like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle doll or something, and then I'd be like, bring it on in.
If it was the blue or green Power Ranger, I'd be like, yeah, come on in. I want to see what you're up to, please.
That still works today.
You joke, but Lord help me if the Green Ranger knocks on my door. Adjacent here, I just wanted to kind of talk about what do you guys think about the satanic figure that was showing up throughout the film. I mean, the overall vibe of this movie is very unsettling, right?
Oh, very.
We can all agree on that. Like, from start to finish, you're just your skin is crawling. And the devil in the background, I think there were 13 times that it showed up, which is also very numerically important. But is that demon or Satan in the background the same demon that we see with Longlegs, like that creepy, shadowy silhouette with the snake eyes? Do we think they're the same?
I assumed they were. I thought it was, basically the presence of one usually indicated the presence of the other, or at least the thoughts or influence of the other.
Which would be pretty standard when it comes to demonic hierarchy, right? There's always needs to be a duke, a lord, a king before a minor demon appears. And I guess the reason why I bring this up is the shadowy figure in the background was ominous and intimidating, sure. But when they showed a few of the shots with the silhouetted figure with those snake eyes, it takes a lot to spook me, and I got really unnerved by that. I think they did a really good job of making those shots very quick and sharp, but I got scared. This is going to sound ridiculous, but I went online and found a picture of it and screenshotted it so I could look at that picture and be like, I'm not afraid of you.
While crying and rocking back and forth.
Essentially desensitizing myself to it. It was so simple, but so terrifying.
So it didn't work, is what you're saying.
Oh, no. Now we're best friends. I mean, we went to brunch the other day, and she was like, hey, girl. And I ordered her some French toast, and we're great. But when I first saw her, I was like, you're not cool.
You really think Satan would have French toast, or demons would have French toast?
Satan for sure has French toast. It's not a pancake. It's not a waffle. It's the bastard of the breakfast meals.
And it's gross.
Ew, go to hell.
French toast is amazing.
Yeah, stuffed French toast? Oh. Yes, please. I do think they're separate entities. I think Satan was the entity in the background, and I think whatever was appearing in person to our protagonist and to Longlegs was kind of a manifestation of another demon, perhaps a duke, a lord, something that was
more
Satan
directly
usually
involved.
Yeah, in demonic lore, Satan is not we have so many horror movies that's like, I'm possessed by Satan. As Satan doesn't do that. He has a billion other angels and demons to do his work for him. And so I think, at least how I interpreted it as a demonologist, was Satan is controlling all of this, but he has a messenger on his behalf kind of pulling the strings. Whether that's true or not, Osgood Perkins, reach out to me. We can talk about it.
So speaking of Satan,
Hit me.
I loved how he called him Mr. Downstairs.
Yep.
Like, I want that to be my new, like, I don't know,
Is
AIM
that your
name. Yeah.
Is that your drag name? I'll be Daddy Longlegs and you can be Mr. Downstairs.
Yeah, I'm Mr. Downstairs.
It's a different connotation there a little bit.
That's what they called me in college, anyway.
You have to talk to Mr. Downstairs to get to Daddy Longlegs.
And one of us tells the truth and the other only lies.
And we're at a crossroads and you have to give your soul.
Or maybe a nice Snickers bar.
Ew, Twix.
No.
What's your question, Jay?
I don't know. Where was I going with this? Did I have a question?
You wanted to know about Mr. Downstairs.
Oh, yeah, I remember my question now. Hence
I assume that's
you
Snake
being...
Eyes.
Snake Eyes?
The one
Is
with
that
the
your
weird-
drag name?
No.
I would pay good money to see Cody in drag. Or Nathaniel in drag. Sorry, cut that out.
Yeah, easy fix.
No, my question is, okay, so the dolls, right?
Yeah.
Yes, the very elaborate American Girl dolls. And then they had the, like, the silver sphere in their head. Like, what in the hell's going on there?
I don't freaking know.
So the Silver Sphere, I think, was more of an artistic direction. I don't know of any occult knowledge about the Silver Sphere being any sort of like conduit or, whatever. The dolls, however, are very prominent in occult lore. There is a shop out here in Utah called As Above, So Below. Here, just right 10 minutes from my house, that do sell spirit dolls. So they are dolls that have been blessed to hold the spirits of people who have died and passed on. And so the intent is that you buy one of these dolls and you let's use that verb, by bringing the presence of someone who has passed away into the doll. Do I believe it? No, but a warning, if you are ever like requesting or summoning a spirit who has passed into something, that is an invitation for either demonic activity or malicious activity. And yeah, I mean, there's a ton of research on demonic possessed dolls. You can go on eBay and find them. You can just buy them off of eBay.
Yeah.
The doll scene is very prominent when it comes to demons and possession and stuff like that. I mean,
And eBay.
You have Annabelle with the Warrens, who's a Raggedy Ann doll, and look what she has become in pop culture.
True.
Which is a true story, that people were really afraid of this Raggedy Ann doll and what she was supposedly doing and yada yada yada. And then the good old Warrens were like, "Oh, we're Catholic. We know all of the answers to everything." And whatever. I have feelings about the Warrens, but the dolls to me were not a surprise.
Or yeah, like lately, Robert the doll has got a lot of attention.
Yeah. So it's just one of those things. Inanimate objects that are human have always been around. Look back at like the Sumerian and the Greeks and the Egyptians. You have the I can't think of the term here right now, but the mummification pots, where they would put the heart, the brain, the lungs, the kidneys into these pots so that the spirit could live through that. Like, haunted dolls are not a 21st century thing.
But buying them on eBay is...
I have a friend who has a basement that you have to get into through a trap door in her laundry room. And her husband is deathly afraid of dolls, and I just really want to buy a possessed one. And bury it in the dirt and wait like 15 years when they sell the house and he has to clean out their foundation and he finds it.
That is the long game. I like that.
I mean,
Jonathan, if you're listening, I will never do that, but I have thought about it.
now that the idea's been planted in my head, though, I make no such promises. I mean, that even came up in like the example of the real life story, going back to episode 25 of our podcast, when we had the story of the Nauvoo house. With Rachel. Like that, they ended up finding a doll after the fact, which was real creepy.
Well, and I think the silver doll that we think of, the silver sphere. I can't say sphere tonight. That's a word. Also is found in a lot of different mythologies. You have the evil eye. You have the prayer boxes from Jewish mythology. I think it was just this movie's way to interpret that whatever the silver sphere was a conduit for something evil.
Okay.
And they're full of weird smoke that
and
makes
murder.
you have memory come back or something. Okay. We'll get into that. Yeah, so should we... Other things that I think really work in this, just I wanted to highlight before we go further down that paranormal rabbit hole there, because I think this is like something that I'm not sure if it's a con, but it's just like something I am not fully satisfied with yet, and I want to be, but maybe that's the point. But yeah, so... it is some of the stuff around the way that some of the weird paranormal stuff works in this. But yeah, so other things that I really love, man, cinematography, outrageously good in this, right? Like
So
music too. The cinematography plus the music, phenomenal.
Yeah, just freaking, drips with just eeriness.
Another thing I appreciated was whenever it was flashbacks, they kind of narrowed the perspective to be like, oh, this happened in the past. Because sometimes I'm a little dense and, I'm eating my kettle corn and petting my kitty cats, and I miss such things. Shut up.
Stop eating kettle corn.
I will not.
It's gross.
I love
Yeah,
sugar.
it's awful.
It's cereal, but dry.
I love cereal. And also, I don't like wet cereal. I like a very minimal amount of milk.
I haven't had breakfast cereal in probably 22 years.
Well, you're missing out because
No,
you're an
I'm
adult
living-
and you can eat breakfast cereal whenever you want.
I am living a better life, is what I'm doing.
No, I have found Waffle Crisp recently, and it is amazing.
Sorry, everyone. That was me puking.
Oh man, I love me some Waffle Crisp, but
It is
kettle corn.
Sorry, Nathaniel. That was me puking again.
But don't compare my beloved breakfast cereal to the awfulness that is kettle corn.
Oh, Waffle Crisp is obviously better than kettle corn.
Yeah, as is getting a hernia.
Or having ulcers.
That's so dramatic.
Oh,
I stand by it.
But you don't deny it, ER doctor, so you know it's true.
Man, this is such an unhinged episode. I'm loving this.
It's so good to be back, y'all. I really loved this movie. Gave homage to some of the best horror films out there: Silence of the Lambs, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It really wasn't hinged, but in a very subtle, quiet way. If that makes sense.
I also like that it was also making nods and references to some real life serial killers, but not in a way that felt like, here, let's exploit this like real life awfulness. It's just like, oh hey, oh huh, interesting. Yeah, I see why that plays in. You know, like the codes definitely feel like Zodiac Killer
or
and
Son of
stuff like that.
Sam. Yeah.
But you know,
Well,
not
and
in a way that I'm
even-
like, ooh, ew. Now I'm thinking about real people who really got murdered. It's more just like, oh, huh, interesting.
Also, just like the weird hyperfeminization of Longlegs kind of struck back to like Buffalo Bill,
Mm-hmm.
but in a not offensive and transphobic way,
I would agree.
which was unsettling, and that is problematic in a whole other sense. But it provided insight into a lot of serial killers like Jeffrey Dahmer, Ed Gein, even John Wayne Gacy, who struggled with their sexuality and perhaps expressed it in different ways in public and different ways in private. So
Yeah, well, and I also like that it, you know, kind of feeds into this, you know, aesthetic of things like glam rock, and how that also, you know, kind of plays into the psychology of some other, you know, real killers like Manson. You know, where, you know, the sort of the rock and roll part of it is also
yeah, that's a good point.
yeah, okay.
Even Ted Bundy and Manson and so many others who were like rock and roll death. You could even extend it, I think, into like Jonestown and the Applegate murders of this rock and roll lifestyle that we're gonna rock out right now, and then the inevitable is coming, and we're just gonna die. Which is tragic. I think it's important to note right here that we do not support any of this, and just because we are recognizing similarities, don't follow cults, and serial killers are absolute trash human beings.
Yes.
True. The last thing I would like to remark on would be the gore in this movie, because I think it struck a very nice balance between
Agreed.
in your face, and then also just kind of understated and almost artistic, if that makes sense. The one that got me and got my stomach rolling was whenever they saw the bodies of the family that had been murdered times 1 month, and the maggots and the sound and the squirming.
Don't say any of those words ever again.
Maggots. Mommy's with their maggots now.
Stop it.
I will not.
Heterosexuality. Sorry, Nathaniel, not sorry.
But I thought that the gore that was a bit understated. Like whenever Ruth shot the that other FBI agent in the car, like you obviously see that it's grisly and whatnot, but it's relatively contained. You just see that blood splash on the windshield. Ugh. And then the last kind of imagery that was also gore, but whenever Lee Harker shot her mom right in the on the forehead, and it was like the sign of the cross, almost blood stain.
Yeah.
I loved that.
Yeah.
So for me, I think the gore was absolutely perfect. Like
Yes.
you said, they were able to keep it gory without making it torture porn. And again, I'm probably overanalyzing here, but as a demonologist, I thought it was really cool how the gore was sinister. It wasn't the devil, like, crucifying someone upside down and, you know, lacerating their intestines and blah, 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 blah. It was gore in a realistic and humanistic way.
Yeah, it looked like
Which-
crime scene photos almost.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think if we want to approach it from a demonic possession point of view, Satan isn't dumb. Lucifer is pretty smart. He is going to grow with the times, and he's going to know how to deflect blame and how to like frame things as human rather than, oh no, this is Satanism.
Mm-hmm.
I hear you, Lucifer. I get you. I see you. We had coffee last week. Don't do this anymore.
Yeah, stop with the weird cults.
How does Satan take his
killers.
coffee?
the weird cults are not Satan's issue, it's humans and their weird obsession with the divine. Satan also loves a lavender cappuccino.
Ah. Is this like the Satan from South Park?
No, it's real Satan. He's just reminded of the lavender in the Garden of Eden before he possessed Eve and was just like, man, this would be really good with some coffee beans. So, it just takes him back. I got you, Lucifer. I keep you real. Oh, I'm going to hell, aren't I?
Eh.
I guess I'll have Lucifer there. He's my friend.
Sorry about that. My cat just jumped on the microphone. The orange one.
Of course.
I mean, we figured.
Yeah.
Nathaniel, did you have anything to say about the gore? What?
No.
Anything more than what has been said?
No, I mean, it definitely reminds me of like real crime scene photos and stuff in a way that I think was very effective. So should we shift gears into the thing that I guess maybe some cons? I mean, I guess cons feels like a strong word, honestly, for how I fall on a couple of things with this movie.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the pacing was, not very good.
Yeah, pacing was a little off. I don't really feel like adding like Lee being psychic actually did anything for the movie. Like that just made me kind of raise an eyebrow and go, wait, so do we need to add like a supernatural power to her for her to be a good, FBI agent? Or
yeah, and that's why I think it's important what NJ brought up about the neurodivergence.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you can approach it either she's psychic and has this paranormal forethought, or she's just seeing things that other people aren't. I know the plot of the film references her psychic ability.
Yeah,
I agree. It was kind of unnecessary, especially where they felt so grounded in a serial killer like Longlegs.
Mm-hmm.
Had it just been the devil in the background and the devil in those silhouette scenes, it would have made us, I think, feel like, what is really going on? Is it a human depravity, or is there something supernatural? And I think that would have left us with a little bit more closure, as weird as it sounds, that we just don't know, or perhaps they're the same.
Yeah. Like, I feel like, we see enough about who she is, her background, and especially, with this case, her connections to the case, allowing her to make those connections. But yeah, like, I know that I think it was specifically trying to avoid the, beautiful mind, someone comes in and just, can reconstruct the whole crime scene by looking around kind of thing that a lot of shows like to do. The super, cop who their autism turns them into a, having a weird superpower. And yeah, like that's a problem. And so, yeah, avoiding that, cool. But I didn't need it to be, oh, well, she's actually just a touch sidekick or a touch psychic. No, just say like she's, just sees the world a little different than other people and makes some connections that other people don't. And then her past connects her to this really weird case. And that's why she's the only one who's made headway on it. That's it. That's all I needed.
Tell me if this is problematic, and cut me off if I'm saying anything out of the norm, but when did we decide that like autism and neurodivergence is a superpower? It is something different that people experience. It is not something that we should celebrate, but it is something we should celebrate. It is a state of being that I think media likes to hone in on and glorify and also villainize at the same time. Like, why couldn't she have just been, like you were saying, Nathaniel, herself?
Yeah.
Why did we have to add this level of supernaturality to it? I don't even know if that's a word. But if she's neurodivergent, that's wonderful. That is amazing. That's perfect. Let's not make it mystical. Correct me if I'm wrong, and if I'm way out of base, please tell me to shut up.
Yeah, I just think it was overcorrecting, right? Like it didn't want to be, beautiful mind, like totally off the wall representation of neurodivergence. But then it just, it overcorrected in a way that, like, and is that a huge plot point? Not really. It just irked me that was there, because I spent way too much time thinking about it and looking for it the whole movie, because that's why she knows what house to go to in that first time that we see her being an FBI agent.
Well, and I think harkens back to movies like Sixth Sense versus Silence of the Lambs. Sixth Sense was a supernatural film about somebody who was seeing these visions of the dead. But Silence of the Lambs was interpreting these senses of the dead in like a logical format.
Mm-hmm.
And what is more realistic? Someone who is competent and able to understand, the supernatural, or whatever we want to call it, interpretations of the world, or murders or serial killers in a logical sense, or framing them under a supernatural umbrella. And I agree with you that one of my biggest criticisms is this movie, towards the end, didn't really know what lane to stay in.
Mm-hmm.
Was it one? Was it the other? Was it both? Are we dealing with a Hannibal Lecter, or are we dealing with a Haley Joel Osment? What's going on? NJ, Mrs. ER Doctor.
Yes.
What do you think from a medical standpoint? Also, I've been watching The Pit on HBO, which is wild and crazy, and I think of you every single time.
Aw, thank you. So one thing I do want to come back to regarding the psychic abilities, I agree with you. I think that it was unnecessary. However, I think it was almost a cute little thing for the director to do, because the things that she was seeing relate to what happens later on in the film.
Mm-hmm.
Camera, the family, one of the families, camera, mother, her mom's helping Satan, that type of stuff. So I think that maybe that was something that they just did to just be like, oh, look, we're foreshadowing. But
kind
they
of an
could've done it a
artistic
different way. Yeah.
Like an artistic speed bump, let's say.
Yeah. They were Easter egging it a little bit.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, it was just putting a hat on a hat.
Who doesn't love a double hat, though? Let's be honest.
A hat on a hat. But no,
It's
I
called
did
a double
like
hat.
a double hat. I enjoyed how they did portray her as being, neurodivergent. And I read something recently that, like, kind of like you were saying, a superpower, sometimes it's taken completely out of context in fiction and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's always the savant or, whatnot. But, like, evolutionarily, ADHD and things like that were pretty beneficial, especially when we were like hunter-gatherers, because those are the people that are hyper-vigilant and, faster sometimes, things like that. And I don't know, I just think it's kind of cool. But, now we might get tossed into a concentration camp, so, by RFK Jr.
Yeah. I think it was specifically trying to avoid. I think the best example I can think of is the Hannibal TV show, which I unabashedly adore, but I do acknowledge that this is kind of maybe a problematic way to approach it. But we have our main character coming in and reconstructing these scenes in his mind of the murders, and this is my design, as he's saying it over and over as it's showing us this. And I just have to kind of accept that it's not how anything actually works, but it looks real cool. It's the way that they can show us the representation. But I think they were trying to avoid that, and instead just gave us oh crap, I mean, maybe to justify the foreshadowing here, She's just a little bit psychic, okay? Let's just roll with that. The final scene, with the boss, Agent Carter, and his family. I don't love that scene.
I think it needed more development. I wanted there to be more of an empathetic reaction for her boss, Agent Carter. Like, he was kind of a dick through the entire film. He wasn't ever really compassionate or sympathetic. And so when that scene came, it was just like, okay, I mean, you die.
Yeah,
I don't know. I just didn't care.
And I think it was weird to me that we have Lee rush to their house, realizes, okay, my mom is going to come and do the same thing that Longlegs has been doing for years. She's going to go bring the doll like she has and make them, turn the whole thing into a big murder scene and all of that. But I'm like, okay, you rush there and then you walk in and then you just sit and wait as, he kills his wife in the next room. And you're like, that's what's happening. Like, pick a lane. Are you there to stop this, or are you just going to sit and passively watch it? I didn't understand why she's sitting there just like, oh, I can't leave this room. Like, no, like, try to stop it.
Well, it also, I think, hit... sometimes horror movies try and drop that, like, last final twist on us.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like that was what was going on in this moment, was we finally kind of understood what was happening. We're putting together A plus B plus C, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, here's K. I just felt very disjointed from the rest of the plot, in my point of view. NJ, ER doctor.
Yes.
What is your evaluation?
On that scene, I almost got like the sense that it was almost like Schrodinger's cat. Like, she was like, is this actually going to happen since I'm here and I'm witnessing it, or is it not? So, like, maybe she was, I don't know, kind of stunned into inaction.
But I don't know. It seemed weird to rush there if she's then just going to go
do nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, like, she stopped him when he was coming at his daughter, but not after the wife. Like, she was trying to stop this whole thing from happening, or at least minimize the damage, and then she just didn't.
So then, I guess the other question perhaps is, could she have done anything? If the silver sphere was in this doll, had the possession already happened, and was there anything that she could do, and was it just Satan / this demon mocking her?
I mean, she stops him from killing his daughter, so yeah, she can do something.
Fair, yeah. I don't know.
Maybe she was undecided as to what she was going to do, because I kind of got a sense that, like, I was like, oh my god, is she gonna join, like, her mom and continue? And
that was my next question, NJ, is maybe it's referencing that she's not as valiant as we thought she was.
Right.
But this is all hyperbole and speculation. Trying to defend an ending that, you're right, Nathaniel, is kind of meh.
Yeah, like, everything else came together so nicely, and I just felt like this scene, they couldn't decide quite what they wanted to do, and so they just kind of made this weird scene that didn't quite do anything.
But they ended it with that great headshot.
Oh, yeah.
How about you call up Osgood Perkins and say, hey, me and my co-hosts have something to say. Will you be on our show?
Yeah, like, and I don't know, it seemed like it was trying to do something maybe at a symbolic level that didn't work at a literal level or something like that. It's just like that one scene was so dissatisfying when everything else was so weird and dynamic and pulled me in, and that one scene I just went, but why did that happen?
Yeah, I can empathize with that.
Yeah, because I was happy not having, all the answers with everything else, but that scene I was like, oh, but this was kind of like an important one for me to at least kind of follow why things were happening.
And also, I don't understand why movies sometimes can't have tragic endings.
Mm-hmm.
I know that this necessarily wasn't a tragic ending, or it was a tragic ending, depending on how you look at it, but why can't a movie or story just end in tragedy?
Yeah, I mean, if she got there too late, that would be something.
Yeah.
And it would open it up for probably another movie. But I just want to be sad sometimes at the end of a film.
If you want to be sad, go watch Old Yeller.
Oh, okay. How about a Siberian film? I'll watch that instead.
Ugh.
I started it, and I'm going to have to watch it in like 5-minute segments, y'all.
Or just don't do it because it's not worth it.
I have to. As a horror critic, I have to watch it all.
No.
Ugh. Anyway, should we go into our ratings of this film?
Yes.
So, as you have noticed, I loved this film. I watched it by myself in the dark, and it really spooked me out. So I'm going to give it a 8 as far as screams goes. Those silhouettes of those demons still haunt me to this day. Like I said, I had to take a screenshot of it and like process it by looking at it through the night and being like, I'm not afraid of you. You're afraid of me. You're fine. You're special effects with snake eyes. I'm better than you. And now I am okay with it. Crowns, I give it a 9. I think this is on par with movies like Hereditary and Midsummer, where the dread throughout the film is what makes it a true horror movie. So I'm not going to give it a 10 because I've never given anything a 10, and I am just waiting for that magic moment where a movie pops my cherry. So
Sexy.
thanks, Daddy Longlegs is waiting, horror movies.
Well, Mr. Downstairs gave it a nice 8 on the scream scale. I think it did a great job with the religious horror and the demonic, satanic stuff. Because sometimes whenever you do satanic stuff in a horror movie, it's almost laughable. This was not. This was not laughable. I was very creeped out.
It was legit Satanism. Give us more of this.
And her finding out that her mom is an accomplice to all of that was just like such a gut punch. Ugh. Like, I couldn't imagine that my mom would be working for Satan. I really can't. I don't think she would. I don't know, maybe.
What about your co-host?
Oh, yeah. No, I know about that.
Hey, girl!
I know all about that.
Yeah, girl!
But Crowns, I gave it an 8. And I even remarked, because I watched this with my wife, like I said, the first 3/4, I was like, I don't really know how I can give this that great of a rating, just because I don't know what the fuck's happening. And then it got tied up completely, and I was like, okay, that was fabulous. It completely explained everything, and again, I'm gonna have to go rewatch it with the context of all that I know, and I think I could maybe even do a little 8.5-er.
I think it is a definition of a like slow burn horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
But done in the right way. There are some slow burns that are just atrocious, and I think this one kind of hit that formula very well.
I agree.
Nathaniel?
Of a similar ilk. So I gave it a 7 on screams. I think the things that were scary were really, really scary, but I wouldn't have minded a couple more to bump it up to the 8 level, but it was, I don't know. I definitely left that movie theater because I went and saw this by myself because I had
Sorry.
That's how it goes. I had a super cheap movie ticket for whatever reason. I don't even remember why, but I got to see it like opening night for like $5, and I was like, oh yeah, sure, why not? And then definitely left the theater going like, well, that was something else. But yeah, so it was very scary, and I'd give it an 8 overall. Just that one scene really is the thing that is keeping it from 9 or 10 for me. It's everything that it does well, it does really, really well. Before we totally depart from Longlegs and talk about how we're staying spooky, I wanted to talk about the viral marketing, because man, that sold me on this movie. Because as we have well established, I don't usually go see anything with Nicolas Cage in it because I can't stand him. But the viral marketing pulled me in.
Yeah, I think there is a very sharp edge to doing this the right way. I think it started with Blair Witch. Mm-hmm. This is a movie that does it very well, where it gives you enough of a carrot that you are trying to grab it, but doesn't show you the entire carrot. That is my really good analogy. Everyone should use that in the future.
Yeah.
And there's a new movie coming out called Weapons that I think is doing it in the same way, where it's providing us with these really spooky moments on film, and it makes you intrigued, but you don't know why, and you're confused, but you want to know more information and to look at the next trailer.
Yep.
It's just kind of a mind fuck. It feels real, and I think that is the magic of the Blair Witch Project, is people thought it was real. And movies like this and this upcoming movie Weapons kind of are following that same formula. And I agree with you, Nathaniel. The marketing for this film, whoever is in charge of that needs a raise.
Yeah. So I assume you guys saw the trailers. Did you look at any of the other stuff around it that they did?
I did, yeah.
I had no idea what was happening.
Okay, so
you were too busy saving lives in the ER.
I was too busy, and they also didn't really show these things on Bravo where I was watching Real Housewives.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, so the big stuff was just mostly online stuff. So there was a website that was put out. It was called The Birthday Murders. And it was showing all of the different victims, and it had very realistic looking crime scene photos, and basically it was as if it had been put together by some amateur online sleuths in the late 90s, trying to piece together what are these connections, here are these codes, and so you could poke around the website, and if you were clicking on the right things, it would then lead to text files that would have hidden codes in it, and you could try to decode all of those, and it would lead to a phone number, and if you call the phone number, it goes to a voicemail with Longlegs talking to you and saying weird nonsense. Yeah, and so I didn't go all the way down that rabbit hole. I went down a little bit, and it was real eerie and real weird, and it got my attention, and I was like, well, I guess I'm gonna go see this movie.
2 questions here.
Yes.
First, after you described that, I just kind of had a light bulb go off. Do you feel like Longlegs, in its plot, in its themes, in its presentation, is in the same universe as, say, Black Phone?
Ooh.
I feel like the energy that they both were giving off are very similar, and with you describing the marketing campaign, I just feel like there's this weird congruency between the two movies. I'm not saying that that's real or that's true, right?
But gives a similar energy.
The vibes. Yeah. The vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see that. I think there are actually some in plot connections, or in universe connections between this and the Blackcoat's Daughter, which I haven't seen. But I heard that there are some little Easter eggs that point to that.
I just think the Black Phone is such a phenomenal horror movie that gets overlooked quite a bit.
But they're making a sequel.
Yeah, thank God. And the energy that you feel in the Black Phone, I felt in this movie as well. But one is kind of that supernatural side of the coin, and the other is people are the worst side of the coin.
Human depravity.
The people are the worst.
You ain't wrong.
Second question. before we kind of go into how we're staying spooky, I have opened my satanic Bible. Do you guys have any questions on Satanism or demons? You don't have any questions about the Satan Bible? Wow.
I'm thinking. Hold on. Come on.
I mean, I've already done a bunch of research, so
I'll be honest, I don't know a lot about Satan. Although, from what I have seen from, like, the commandments or whatever, the rules, they sound better than the actual 10 Commandments.
1000%. Satanism, real Satanism, is not about what we see in movies. It is about rejecting God, but loving yourself and being the best person you could be and choosing your own morals over some invisible man in the sky's morals.
Right.
And I really love that. So thank you, Anton LaVey. You're the best. And also, you're very problematic. No other questions?
If Satan were a color, what color would he be?
Probably like a lavender, just because, as I mentioned, lavender was his favorite smell in the Garden of Eden, which is why he loves a lavender cappuccino.
I was hoping you would say that.
Oh, you know me, bitch.
You're dependable.
I am here all day.
And you're good at a callback. You are great at a callback. I like that.
Oh, thanks, bitch.
You're welcome.
How are you staying spooky, NJ?
Ooh. Just watched Companion, and
Oh my god, we need to talk about Companion!
Yes. So good.
Oh, phenomenal! Talk about a queer movie.
Oh my god, yeah, it was so good, and it's comedic and tragic and thought-provoking.
Don't say anything else, because it will ruin it. The less you know about Companion, the better.
So good.
Go watch it, Nathaniel. Watch it right now.
I want to go kiki with Iris so bad.
Oh, God. And Guillermo from What We Do in the Shadows.
Guillermo. And then as far as what I'm reading, I just finished an anthology called Welcome to Your Body, Lessons in Evisceration.
Oh, so a puberty book.
Yes. Yes. It's obviously body horror. And there are some stories in there that I have been thinking about a week after reading them. And I will just say that the worst, also best story involves sinus problems and a drill.
Ew.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Uh-huh.
I'll keep my Zofran, thank you. Wait, Zofran's for indigestion,
yeah,
right?
nausea. Your Flonase.
Flonase, thank you. I thought Zofran, and then I thought Xanax, and I decided to go with Zofran.
I mean, Xanax works, because if you're unconscious, you can't complain about congestion.
Well, there you go. That's what I meant. See, I have a medical degree, too.
I know what I'm talking about.
Everyone listen to my medical advice.
What are you doing to stay spooky, Max?
So my birthday was on Easter. I had to share it with a zombie named Jesus. And my beautiful fiance was like, you know what? We should blaspheme on Easter for your birthday. And we went and saw the new movie Sinners with Michael B. Jordan. You guys!
He is a snack, too. Can we talk about that?
You guys! This movie, there was one part of the movie that I felt like I had left my body and was just living amongst my ancestors. It is a harrowing story of like ancestral horror, slavery, and modern day bullshit that happens. It will be like top 3 horror movies, I think, this year for me. It was stunning. Go watch it as soon as you can.
I really want to see it.
It's so good. It's so fucking good. Other than that, I have actually not been reading much of horror. Physical books, I've been reading The Song of Achilles and Circe, which is a beautiful queer representation of Greek mythology, which is my jam. So happy to have that. However, the audiobooks I am listening to are very different. Listening to one called The Ultimate Evil, which, again, like I mentioned earlier, is about this conspiracy that the son of Sam, David Berkowitz, was not acting alone, and he's part of some cabal of Satanists that have been running the United States for God knows how many years, and, you know, it's all garbage, but it's fascinating to listen to, so.
We might be in better shape if we were run by Satanists.
I think we are ran by a Satanist.
I think that's like an insult to Satanists.
That's true. Sorry, Satan.
Yeah, no, I think he's more of just a straight up hedonist.
Yeah, Satan and his lavender cappuccinos would not be okay with what's going on right now.
No, not at all.
Sorry, Lucy. Lucy, get it? Lucifer. Nathaniel, how are you staying spooky?
I've mostly been staying spooky by experiencing overwhelming crippling depression while looking for a job, because job hunting is the freaking worst.
Hey, me too, but less about job hunting and more about custodial unknown.
Yeah, so that's kind of taken the wind out of my sails a little bit. I have very, very slowly been working my way through the audio version of Witchcraft for Wayward Girls by Grady Hendrix, which is very good, and it's kind of, you know, a little bit more slow burn, but man, when it gets dark, it gets dark.
I am starting that book after we finish. It is my new book that I am reading.
Excellent. Well, just, you know, be patient. It takes a while to get to the really intense scares, but good heaven.
NJ, another book that you should look up that I am reading after Wayward Girls of Wizardly Place, or whatever it's called. Is Queer as Folklore. It is the queer dissection of myth and legends throughout history, and how homosexuality and you lesbians have permeated through myths, and why we worship these mythological stories when they're actually very gay.
Adding to my list.
It's so good. I'm excited. I read one chapter and I'm like, NJ, I need you to commune with me.
Yes. If it's gay, sign me up.
If it's gay, I say yay.
If it's gay, I will stay.
Anyway, Nathaniel, keep going.
Oh, so that's about it. Other than that, I've been slowly, I guess, picking my way through some video games. I've been very slowly playing the Silent Hill 2 remake, which is amazing, and Inscription, which is definitely a horror game, among other things. I've
heard a lot of good spooky things about Inscription. You're liking it?
Yeah, I like it. So it's like a roguelike card game and also a horror game. And the card game itself I'm kind of underwhelmed with, which is unfortunately like a lot of what it's doing. But everything else about it I really, really like. So I don't know. I guess we will see. But as a whole, like it's nice to be able to pick it up and play it for, you know, a half hour, you know, totally bomb some run of this card game and then put it back down. But, you know, me being addicted to roguelike card games apparently is a thing, because I've also played way too much Balatro lately.
Well, it sounds scarier than what I'm playing, which is Coral Island, where you go to an island and you farm and make a living.
Ugh.
So it's like Harvest Moon?
It is 1,000% Harvest Moon, but it's created by a bunch of queer developers, and so in the town square, instead of an American flag, it's a pride flag.
Oh my god.
And it just feels so good. And my husband in it is Mark. He's this burly beast of a man, and real Mark is like, whoa, is that what you want me to look like? I said, no, it's just video game, Mark. We're about to have a child, and my pumpkins are selling for big dollars.
Is that an innuendo?
100%.
Okay.
Are you gonna find your child under a little Cabbage Patch leaf?
I sure hope so, but I want it to be either like washed up on the shore like a merchild, because you can also save the environment and go under the ocean and get rid of garbage. And if you get rid of enough garbage, you become a mermaid. Guess what Max did today instead of working? I became a mermaid.
This reminds me, have either of you heard of the game that's coming up that is basically, kind of a Harvest Moon type game, but with a horror twist, specifically that random people in the town are just getting murdered?
No, I love this.
It's called
What's it called?
Grave Seasons.
Okay.
And it's, I guess, like Blumhouse is starting to help fund some games, and so they're publishing it. I don't know exactly when it's supposed to come out, but yeah, it's like, hey, you just, sometimes when you show up to go visit your neighbor and bring them like some, cool treat or whatever, like you do in those kinds of games, you just show up and, like, I don't know, they're just dead. They've just been murdered by this serial killer.
So it's like Murder, She Wrote plus Harvest Moon.
Yes.
So we can harvest strawberries and solve murder crimes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in.
Which,
better than being a mermaid.
Yeah. Yeah, I love, like, these weird, unholy blends of stuff. Like, of a similar ilk as Graveyard Keeper, which is, Harvest Moon, but you're, making a graveyard instead of a farm. And also, you can totally steal bodies and turn them into zombies to go do, like, mining for you.
Ooh.
Sounds wonderful, but I need my crops. I need real life crops.
Oh, there's crops in there too. But community events are also witch burnings.
Oh, damn it.
Bummer.
Anyway, if you guys are still listening to us, you are top tier Scream King fans.
Yes. Or I did a good job of editing for once.
No, people need to listen to all of this, Nathaniel. We love you all. Thank you for listening. Stay spooky.
Stay spooky.
Stay spooky.